Good morning, and thank you for tuning into the Andrew Tate Show, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We've got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be covering whether the Dallas Cowboys should bring back Ezekiel Elliott. We'll also be discussing Anthony Davis credits LeBron James for working on a three-point shot. We'll also be discussing the Forbes 2024 billionaires list, which Michael Jordan appears on. And make sure you guys stick around for later in the show when we'll be diving into some dumb criminal stories. Before we start, though, I'd like to ask you guys like and follow the show. Also, we had a number of questions that come in from the viewers during the show. So to ensure that your question gets right on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. That link is gsmcpodcast.net. This just puts your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also really helps the show. So you should do it.
All right. Hello, Miss Faith.
Hello.
What is going on? You know,
Not
it's kind of
much.
funny. We just started the show, and I didn't really want to talk to Faith that much because it's like we can talk about it on air. So
I'm good.
I didn't get the lowdown
The
except for
lowdown.
yes, I did say the glasses are just kind of cool.
Thank you.
They're like cool yet nerdy yet like
Appreciate it.
librarian. You like cover the whole
Thank
gamut
you.
with those.
Thank
I
you.
must agree. So, nothing exciting in your life right now? I know we just talked yesterday, but
No, no, not really. This is kind of a heavy work week for me. March and April, it's basically post spring break. Everything is all coming to be due, and so, I have to, work until it's all done, but I only have
yeah,
roughly like a month left of this semester, so it's almost there.
then it's all over. I didn't do much of anything either. I just did my normal work a million hours
Mm-hmm.
and then watched a little TV and crashed out. But I didn't watch anything exciting. I didn't do anything exciting.
Yeah, I
Normally I have
know.
some at least something fun going on, but it was kind of this is my fun thing today.
Well, I guess yesterday I stopped by the restaurant that my boyfriend works at right now, and they were doing Taco Tuesday. So I went and got a taco. But other than that, I didn't really do
Are they
anything.
like special tacos or are they
Yeah,
just
they
regular
do.
old?
So they have like three regular ones that they always put out, and then they do like a taco special. But I got like, he told me to call it the secret menu item because he only made it like specifically for me.
All right, that's part
So
of knowing the
perks,
chef.
perks, yeah. So
Yes. You know, when I think it's like I coming from California and soon you said tacos, I didn't think like Mexican. I thought of sushi right out the gate. Don't know why. Because they have sushi tacos and sushi burritos.
I have never had
And
either of those. That
and
sounds
those are two of
interesting.
my favorite things. And so that's what popped in my head right away. Is that I'm
No, it
like
wasn't
I'm missing
sushi.
out on I'm a sushi freak.
I love
That
sushi
is
too.
that is my favorite food. That's kind of, looking at it like being from the South, it's you don't think of someone like, oh, from the South, they love sushi, but
I
you
love
know,
sushi too. It's so good.
yeah, and you can no matter where it's like no matter where you're at in the world, somewhere they're serving sushi. It's like
Hmm.
sushi and Italian you can get anywhere. You could be on a desert island with nobody on there but blind pygmies, and they got a sushi and pizza shop somewhere. You know what I mean? Those ones that you can always get anywhere.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, let's dive into this today. I know we're dive re going back over a topic we've talked about before, but
Yes.
this was kind of an interesting article,
Hmm.
so I'll let you dive into it.
Alrighty, so should the Dallas Cowboys bring back Ezekiel Elliott? This weekend, news broke that the Dallas Cowboys and free agent running back Ezekiel Elliott had mutual interest in a reunion. This is hardly news because there were rumors last offseason that the two sides would agree on a new contract before Elliott ultimately signed with the New England Patriots. Admittedly, the team missed Elliott's presence in the red zone last season when they struggled to finish drives. A reunion makes sense for Elliott because his market was near ice cold before a deal was struck in New England. Returning to Dallas could help revive Elliott's career and raise his value throughout the league. For many fans, bringing back Elliott is a polarizing topic that deserves dialogue for and against his possible return to Dallas. You can see reasons why the Cowboys should bring him back, but there are two main reasons why the Dallas Cowboys should look elsewhere. Needing to sever emotional ties and move forward. Moving a little over a year ago, this article explained why the Cowboys needed to release Ezekiel Elliott outright instead of offering him a pay cut so that he could remain with the team. At the time, it felt like keeping Elliott even at a reduced rate still meant the team was overly reliant on Elliott, even though it wasn't in the team's best interest. If Elliott were still on the team would insist upon making Elliott the lead runner due to what he's done for the franchise and his durability throughout the years, never being unavailable long enough to give the team a serious look at any other options on the roster. And also, the article talks about how Elliott isn't really productive anymore. They said Elliott deserves respect for what he's been able to accomplish with the Cowboys. His instant success carried the Cowboys into a new era with their core of himself and Dak Prescott. Arguably, he was one of the best players in the NFL in his first 4 years in the league and had stuff to back it up, a 2-time All-Pro and 3-time Pro Bowler in that span. However, as running backs do, they gradually decline after their first few seasons. Elliott's most productive season was in 2018 with 2,001 yards from scrimmage. After that year, his numbers dropped over his next 4 seasons in Dallas with the following yardage totals. So in 2019, it was 1,777. In 2020, it was 1,317. 2021 was 1,289, and in 2022 it was 968. So
all right, so yeah, we've talked about this before. So there's nothing real new. This guy kind of agrees with me. The one thing I didn't agree with is he was kind of saying that it would be, Zeke coming back to the Cowboys would give him a chance to kind of boost up, kind of give teams a chance to see him perform at a high level and open up the market for him the following year. And I want to start out by saying I'm an Ezekiel Elliott fan. Okay. So I'm a Cowboys fan. So it's hard. You don't want to say these things, but the fact of the matter is, I don't think Ezekiel Elliott will have a market again, maybe ever. And I don't know if there would be a market for if the Cowboys don't bring him back in. I don't know if Ezekiel Elliott would have a market on a team at all this year as well. He's been out there as a free agent. He hasn't had much, not too many people have taken a look at him. If the Cowboys don't sign him, I feel like the only shot he has of getting back in the league would be some team getting decimated with injuries. That's kind of the only way I see him getting in. And this is someone who comes from the position of being an Ezekiel Elliott fan. And, they talk about the fact that there's mutual interest. I think the Cowboys should turn the page on Ezekiel Elliott. Do I think he could be productive? I think Ezekiel Elliott could be incredibly productive on short yardage situations. I think he could be productive in the passing game. But the money that you're going to have to pay him and the roster spot that he's going to get means that a younger up and coming player is not going to be able to be on the team. Looking at that, I would not bring him back. Not to mention that if you bring Ezekiel Elliott back, He's only been gone 1 year. I think it's a big effect on morale. If you have Ezekiel Elliott in the locker room, one of the team's leaders, one of the team's legends, and he's not getting the ball, then I think it kind of affects the team's overall morale,
Mm-hmm.
um, which can affect the team. I honestly think they should go with a much younger team, a younger roster. Uh, I think the same production as far as short yardage goes. You have Deuce Vaughn, you have running backs that you can draft that would fill in and without bringing in the extra microscope that bringing on and Ezekiel Elliott gives. If we talk about this about the Cowboys being all in, and that topic comes up all the time,
Yeah.
and I don't believe that bringing in Ezekiel Elliott, who is clearly a running back on the decline, I think it just fosters more of, are you just helping out the people that you're loyal to? Are you really all in on trying to make a Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
Jerry has been like known for his loyalty to his players. And I think this is one of those situations where Jerry wants to bring Ezekiel Elliott back because in his eyes, he's a Cowboy. And in my eyes, he's a Cowboy. I don't, you don't look at Ezekiel Elliott as a New England Patriot. You look at him as a
Right, but
Cowboy.
I understand the whole concept of like, the Cowboys and their franchise and they're always loyal to their players and
Mm-hmm.
everything like that. But, with the whole statement of being all in this season, is it really a smart move to bring in, uh, you know, Ezekiel Elliott when his numbers are just going down by the season? You know what I mean? It just
Going
doesn't seem
further and
like a
further
smart
down.
move.
Yeah, and the thing that hurt Dallas last year was the fact that they didn't have a running game,
Mm-hmm.
and Pollard is gone. Bringing Ezekiel Elliott back doesn't make the running game better.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I feel like they would have taken a big leap backwards. They've lost Tyron Smith. They've lost a number of other players due to salary cap issues,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because they have this giant cap hit with Dak Prescott, and they're having a hard time figuring out, are we going to keep him? Are we going to re-sign him? Because that would, if they resigned Dak, then it would alleviate a lot of the cap space because it would, you could spread it out over the length of the contract and they would have more room to sign players. But
Mm-hmm.
free agency has already gone through. The big part of free agency has been done. They've already lost Tyron Smith and players like that. So losing those players, bringing Ezekiel Elliott back, I look at them as, are they a better team last year or this year? And I say last year's team is exponentially better. When I look at looking at their division, and I say the Philadelphia Eagles got better. The Dallas Cowboys slid a little bit and are not as good as they were. That's very concerning looking at the fact that your quarterback is on his last year of the contract. Your coach is on his last year of the contract. Your brand new defensive coordinator only got a 1 year deal. The Cowboys, it feels like they are the whole concept of being all in. I feel like they're not all in. They're just stuck. You know what I mean? They're stuck in the mud. They can't move. The whole Dak Prescott thing has the Cowboys kind of handcuffed. And the problem is, what do you do about the contract of Dak? And I think that's the question. Do you re-sign him, move that money, It hasn't been done, and if they resign him now, then the front office made a massive mistake. Because if they sign him at any point during this year, now it is a mistake. And the reason why it's a mistake is because of the fact that they should have, if they were going to re-sign him before free agency, so it would have opened up the salary cap space so that they could have kept some of their players.
Mm-hmm.
Signing him later in the season or later this offseason just makes it even more of a mistake. I understand what the Cowboys are trying to do by looking at bringing in Ezekiel Elliott because they need something to boost them up, but you got to get younger. I'm not bringing Zeke back. He can come back on those days when they bring the old players back and things like that, the old retired players. And it's a shame to talk about a player and say, you know, he's should be with the retired players and gone because he's young.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as running back years and miles on his body, he's old.
Mm-hmm.
And his performance shows that he is old. And so for that, I feel like going with Ezekiel Elliott is another step backwards for the Dallas Cowboys. They're not progressing forward. I feel like they're taking a step backwards, and that is concerning.
Yeah.
You don't really hit the panic button until you see how the draft goes, because I could see them. Dallas has always been one of, if not the best drafting team in the NFL, and so I'm sure they're going to address some of the shortcomings that they have. But one of the major shortcomings that they have is that running back, and I would just go with get me one of the young guys out of college to replace instead of Ezekiel Elliott,
Mm-hmm.
and just move on from the Pollard Ezekiel Elliott era altogether.
Yeah.
So
I agree. You know, as much as it's great that the Dallas Cowboys are very, loyal to their players and make sure that
sometimes to a fault.
yeah, make sure that they get what they need and everything like that. Sometimes it's like, maybe we should move away from this person and try and look for someone else. So,
Yes,
because I see that with
sometimes
Dak Prescott too. Like the whole thing with Dak Prescott right now is just.
it's that's the story right there.
Mm-hmm.
We can't talk about Dak Prescott every single day,
Mm-hmm.
but the story is now, literally, if they were going to sign Dak, they should have been all in to sign
Mm-hmm.
Dak before free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime after free agency, if they sign between now and the end of the year, there is no reason to sign him other than worrying about losing him,
Yeah.
because they have lost a number of their players. That's kind of funny. It's weird. I just got an article in uh about Ezekiel Elliott. That's the
Oh.
second time that's happened. So it's just now I don't know what's going to happen. And then there has been talk. I didn't know this, but salary cap space, if you don't use your salary cap space, it can get carried over to the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some speculation that there are teams out there that have extra salary cap space are planning on not using it this year so that they can offer Dak Prescott a front-loaded contract
Mm-hmm.
that would make it so Dak could not come back to the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a situation I pretty much am starting to think that this is the last year of Dak Prescott being in a Cowboy uniform. Too many things are pointing in that direction. I could be proven wrong. They could come across the line. Dak Prescott signs, multi-year contract with the Cowboys. I just, once once they signed CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons, this once those two guys are signed, then that'll tell you everything you need to know. Because I feel like they're going to have to sign if they're, Dak first to sign those guys, or just take the hit and move on. So it's interesting. Just
Yeah, it
interesting what's
is.
going to happen here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, draft is coming up soon, so.
So
So
you're gonna be
let's see.
sitting at your house with a big old pot of popcorn, just watching the draft this year. That's what's going on at your house.
We'll see.
The boyfriend's making sushi burritos. You guys are sitting in front of watching the draft action happen live.
We'll see.
She will not confirm or deny either one of these things.
I plead the fifth. Alrighty, guys. Well, with that, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about Anthony Davis. Credits LeBron James for working on a 3-point shot. So make sure you guys stick around, and we will be back in a minute.